Well, on this first day of February 2025, the Sharks made another significant in-season trade in trying to steer the future of their franchise. San Jose's top point producer, Mikael Granlund, and their second leading time-on-ice player, defenseman Cody Ceci, are headed to Dallas. In return, San Jose gets the Stars' first overall pick of 2025, plus a third-round pick this upcoming summer, which is dependent on Dallas making the Stanley Cup final. Both former Sharks are on final years of their respective contracts and set to be unrestricted free agents this summer. In working with GM Jim Nill of Dallas, Mike Grier said he knew the assets he held and finally heard the return that he was hoping for.
I think at the end of the day, it was the return. The two, Granny and Cease, are two players that did really well for us, and we valued, and we set our price out, and Dallas was ready to meet it. So that's really the main reason why we did it now, I think.
Well, you get to a point, you got to give up assets to get, and we got to the point where it's either when I'm talking to teams, our major assets and their younger players, they're on our team right now, and I'm not giving those players up. They're too good of players, and when you're getting ready to build to get into the playoffs, to make the playoffs first of all, and get into the playoffs, you need that depth. And all of a sudden, I start to ship out somebody else on our roster for somebody else coming in doesn't make sense where we're trying to get to.
I think Cease is someone who's proven he can play well in the playoffs, and he's a big right shot D. So I think we had a lot of teams interested in him, and Granny at one point, I think there was 11 or 12 teams that had shown significant interest in him. So lots of teams, lots of interest. They're two good players, two good people, and but we just kind of felt we were able to get what we wanted. So it's something we kind of had to do.
The NHL's trade deadline is March 7th, which, is 5 weeks away. But based on recent moves like Rantanen to Carolina and now Granlund to Dallas, it does kind of show that the league's general managers are willing to deal a lot earlier than they ever used to and take advantage of this time down the stretch run of a season, especially here in the month of February with the Four Nations tournament kind of breaking things up.
You've kind of seen all the trades that have happened within the last week, right? I just think things have heated up around the league, for whatever reason it may be, the break coming. And I think there's only, you get out of the break and you're basically at the deadline. So I think teams are just trying to get out ahead of it. So, this week things kind of picked up. Jim and Dallas have, a good staff there, and he was great to work with. And, they were aggressive for going after both guys. The market kind of dictates how things go. It's not too dissimilar than Blackie. I think in a perfect world, maybe would have held on to Granny and Cease closer to the deadline, so our group could have them for a little bit longer. But it doesn't always work out that way, and the market just kind of heated up over the last week, and so that's we kind of took advantage of the opportunity that came our way.
So within this 2-month time span, the Sharks have now dealt their top goal preventer in Mackenzie Blackwood back on December 9th to Colorado, and now their top point getter in Granlund to Dallas. In this season where the build portion of a rebuild is very evident, Grier realizes the human side of saying farewell.
Day off here, but I'm sure it's not easy for the group. Granny's been a big part of us here since he's gotten here. Not only his on ice play, but what he's done off ice. He's really helped mentor some of our young players. He practiced hard, played hard all the time, and tried to share his knowledge of the game. And that's kind of the way hockey goes, right? Guys, the veterans share their knowledge with the young guys, and now it's time for those young guys hopefully they learn from him, and they can kind of keep building on some of the lessons and things that Granny shared with him. I think it's never easy when you get traded, as someone who went through it myself. And I think I think both guys took it well. And I think we all play the game to win and try and win the Stanley Cup and play those meaningful and important games. So I think while there was probably some disappointment, I think there was also some excitement to have the opportunity to go to a good team that's had a lot of success over the last few years and have a chance to go to the dance and try and win it.
Obviously, one question that still remains, anytime you trade two players away and get strictly picks back in return, is who fills those key spots on the Sharks roster for their final 28 games. Especially right now for a San Jose team that also is facing some injury setbacks.
Yeah, we're definitely beat up right now, and hopefully we can just get through next week, get through these 3 games and get to the break, and then I think we should be able to hopefully get most of the guys back after that. So for now it's we expect these guys it's a good group down there, even though this will be hard for them, but to still play hard and go out there and try and win games. And we'll I'm sure we'll probably dip into the Barracuda with guys who deserve a recall, whether that's our young guys who are playing well or some of the vets. Some of the vets down there, sometimes it's easy to overlook those guys, but some of our vets down there are having really good years and deserve a look up here too. So we'll that's kind of how we'll fill out the lineup.
The Sharks' next game isn't until Tuesday night, hosting Montreal. It's also the exact same time as the AHL's All-Star break. So with the Barracuda off then, it should give San Jose some more internal options if anybody is going to be called up.